Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. We got the latest breaking Manchester United news. A lot of stuff coming out. Obviously, the day after we've secured Champions League football, as I predicted, and we got a supposed bid coming for Ederson at Atalanta. He's been linked with Manchester United for, a good amount of time now. Most heavily under, when Ruben Amorim was here. He sort of went off into the background, but now he's popping back up. We got updates surrounding, and this is quite a bit newer and fresher than just the similar midfield updates. We got left back updates. I know many of the fan base, they identify the left back position as a position that we need to address. Well, we've gotten some significant updates. Lewis Hall being mentioned along with a couple other targets. So we're going to get into that as well. We're going to do a little bit of sort of a financial update because there has been some talk since we are back in UCL now. And there are still implications. If we finish third instead of fourth, we get more money from the Premier League. So we're going to try and give ourselves a ballpark of exactly how much money Manchester United could possibly be working with in this summer window, along with some other very important updates as well. So hope everybody is doing well and good and is very happy. We did the double over Liverpool yesterday. We beat our bitter rivals. And, it's a good Monday. It's a good Monday. Renoso's here. Says, thumbnail today is pretty badass. Dude, I thought I had been suggested some new stuff. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you liked it. I was playing around with it. I got a little assist from the AI, okay? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend like I did the whole thing myself, okay? But, you know what? AI is getting crazy. And is I can't do that level of work. I did the basic level. I gave it basically a template. I told it make it look fire. It did what it did. So maybe this is the new thumbnails going forward. We'll see. But we do have breaking news. More news has come out about Ederson. So we're going to get straight into that. Before we do, please make sure you're smashing the like button. It's a massive help to the channel. It gets the video shared to more United fans. It gets the channel shared to more United fans. We're pushing hard to try and get to 3,500 subscribers. We want to get to 4,000, but we want to get to 3,500. And if you're new and you enjoy the content, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're hitting the notification bell icon so you get notified. You get notified before we go live, 30 minutes before we go live, when we go live. And you also get all the other updates if I have to update the community in the chat. We also have a Discord. Click the link. It's in the pinned message if you want to join exclusive chats offline when we're not on YouTube. But without further ado, let's hit these updates. So we got an early update this morning, or earlier in the day, from Tutto Mercato, which is obviously a Italian outlet. And they were reporting that Manchester United are expected to step up their efforts to sign Ederson for the midfield. Former United director John Murtaugh is now head of development at Atalanta, which could help facilitate negotiations. Now, unfortunately for us, he's head of development and he is not director of football. Because if he was director of football, we'd be able to probably rob Atalanta blind. But, head of development, different case. We're going to have to negotiate with somebody different there, not John Murtaugh. But there was an update that followed that update, and this came from Nico Shira, who is a sports journalist, expert in the transfer market, has about 400,000 followers. Not really familiar with him, but the aggregators have put it out. We'll go with the aggregators on this one. We'll see what we got. But, sorry, just got a phone call there. Manchester United are set to bid 45 million euros for Ederson, aiming to beat Atletico Madrid, who already agreed personal terms but haven't met Atalanta's price yet. Now, I don't necessarily like that update too much, that one specifically, because Atletico Madrid are involved, and being United fan and being involved with Manchester United, we all know that our name gets thrown around like crazy to drum up interest and get deals done, whether it be from players' agents or other clubs, to sort of put on pressure. It does get a lot of noise. It does get a lot of attention. I was not aware that Atletico Madrid were in for Ederson and that they had already agreed personal terms with the player. So, but we did just get just now more breaking news, live breaking news, because those updates came very earlier in the day, and we just got more tagged on to this, and some encouraging things, positive. If you want Ederson at Manchester United, it is encouraging in our favor. So let me just pull that up real quick, because we gotta get this up here. So we just got a bunch of news, I see. Okay, so this Ederson update, now the source is Matteo Moretto, who works or is associated with Fabrizio Romano. I don't know if he's a buddy of Fabrizio, whatever it may be, but he's an Italian journalist like Fabrizio Romano. He's got Fabrizio Romano tagged in his thing. He works for Marca as well. He's just come up with an update 23 minutes ago saying Manchester United have overtaken Atletico Madrid with their contract proposal to Ederson. United are reportedly ready to offer £75,000 per week, with no agreement yet between any club and Atalanta. At this stage, United are seen as the most financially capable option in the race. I think that is obviously a truth and a fact. We definitely can afford more money than Atletico Madrid. We definitely have more money than them, and we could probably give them the better deal. I will say this right now: £75,000 per week is actually extremely cheap. And I mean, I think it would kind of be a steal. He's 26 years of age as well. 45 million euros. I don't know what that comes out into pounds. I think it's like 30 something. That would be kind of a steal. And this sort of coincides also with the fact that we've got a massive update today. As everybody knows, I've been saying for over a month now, we need 3 midfielders. We need to sign 3 midfielders. We got a massive update today that I'm going to get into, that United are looking to get in 3 midfielders, and they will do so if they are able to sell Manuel Ugarte. And we've got updates surrounding Ugarte as well. And we sort of got a budget split on how they potentially may do a 3 midfield signing this summer. It might not be the one that some people would go for per se, but I think listen, we got to be able to strike some sort of balance to do this thing. We've talked about that before. We've talked about, listen, we would all want to do a lot, but we all know that there's only so much we can do until we hit a wall. And this plan could maybe work if it's done correctly, which would allow us, we do the 3 midfield signings. It would allow us to be able to spend still a good amount of money in some other positions, maybe like a left winger or a left back or both, potentially maybe a striker, and where we won't have to go dirt cheap, and be able to get some sort of quality in that position. So I mean, listen, we may be going in for Ederson here. This is interesting development. It's kind of just caught fire really out of nowhere, because he was mentioned to us a while ago, and he sort of disappeared for a little bit, and then today it started off early coming from Italy, but we just got another update about it. And Manchester United, listen, we definitely can outbeat Atletico Madrid financially, and I think, at least for us, we are obviously the bigger club, and we're in Champions League now. So, and the Champions League pool is massive for us. There's some other implications as well with some other players, considering the fact that we are now back in the Champions League next season, which has given us some type of a boost in pursuit of these players, which we all kind of knew was going to be the case. But, let's see if something develops out of there, and we end up getting a player that maybe we thought was a bit out of our reach, out of our grasp. So what else do we have here? Anything else that goes into the Ederson update? Laurie Whitwell. Okay. So I just want to check Ederson's. I mean, Ederson is a bit of a player that, obviously, he's Brazilian. He does play in the central midfield, but he is a player that I think, you know what? I mean, if you look at Ederson and you compare him to Manuel Ugarte, I think Ederson is a lot more versatile. And I think Ederson can give us maybe that little bit extra that Manuel Ugarte is kind of unable to give us. So I think Ederson coming in for 45 million euros as sort of what would be potentially a replacement for Ugarte specifically, I would say, in my opinion, I think is a good move. It's a good move. It's, a guy that can give us a little bit more. He's a little bit more versatile. He can play central midfield. He can play defensive midfield. And he can play a little bit of an attacking midfielder as well. He's done so before. It's not really his prime position. It might not be necessarily his best position, but he has played there before, and he can sort of operate in both sides of the pitch, which is what we need, which is what Ugarte really isn't. Now, obviously, Ederson isn't really a goal scorer, and he's been playing more of basically a central midfield, defensive midfield for Atalanta. He's got 28 appearances in the Serie A. He only has a goal and no assists, so he's not going to do crazy stuff, but what we need is somebody a bit similar to Cass. Somebody that, Cass has scored a lot of goals this season. Ederson's not going to necessarily replace that based off of, what he's doing at Atalanta. But what he will be able to do is, at the very least, that Ugarte can't do, is, number one, when he wins the ball back, he can help link the play going forward and get involved in the opponent's half, which Ugarte really can't do. Ederson's passing is better than Ugarte's. His passing range is better. So, it is one that is quite interesting, could develop quite quickly. I was sort of expecting this to happen, coming off of yesterday. So, but we can sort of shift over what goes hand in hand with this, and then we'll get into the left back thing. But, considering we're talking about the midfield here, all right, this sort of goes hand in hand, and we'll break it down, and we'll sort of paint the picture as to why I'm a little bit amped up and hyped up about this, because it looks like now, maybe things are going to start taking a clearer shape, and being a little bit more detailed than sort of these vague little updates that we've been getting for the past, 5+ months. So Samuel Luckhurst, everybody's favorite journalist, came with a couple updates himself, saying Manchester United would need £25.26 million to avoid a loss on Manuel Ugarte under the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rules. All right, and he followed that up by saying United are open to selling Manuel Ugarte to fund a third midfield signing. If a move doesn't materialize, United are prepared to keep him as a fourth choice midfielder next season. Now, we need to stop here real quick because I do have to say, and I've been saying this, but I will say it again. For the sake of INEOS's project, okay, and I guess our project, all right? For me personally, I'm calling it now, and I'm saying it now. It is, in my opinion, totally 100% unacceptable if Manuel Ugarte is here next season as a fourth choice midfielder. I think if they want to show seriousness, okay? Again, I'm asking for balance. I'm not asking you to do something totally ridiculous that's never going to happen, that's totally like just out there and it's never going to happen. I'm asking for balance. I'm asking for realistic stuff. There should be no reason why we can't sell Manuel Ugarte. There are clubs interested in him. Galatasaray is one. There's a couple of Serie A clubs. There's no reason why we can't get him out the door. And there's no reason why we can't get somebody else in the door to replace him. And for me, if we buy 2 new midfielders and we have Meno and Manuel Ugarte is here next season, it's a failure. It is a failure because I don't see him as quite useful in any way. And when I start thinking about fixtures and next season, and I'm thinking about different situations that we could find ourselves in the midst of a season, he's not a guy that gives me confidence or instills anything in me that views him as a viable option. So when I'm doing the numbers in my head of the squad, I don't even count him as a fourth midfielder. Sure, he could go in and play, but you know, he's a body, he's an option on the bench. But it goes past that because it goes about, well, effectiveness on the pitch. You know, you're not really any good to us if we put you on and you can't have any real impact in the game that we're going to need you to have the impact on. And we've seen that he can't really have the impact that we need playing the way that we're playing in this formation, this system under Michael Carrick. We do have updates on Carrick as well, and we'll get to that later on as well. Simon's here and Natasha is here. How you guys doing? Good evening to you. The under-21s played tonight against Palace and won 2-0 as it's Star Wars Day. Oh, yes. May the 4th be with everybody. Cheetah Obi had the Force with him. Has anyone got raffle tickets for Ugarte? Ugarte or Titanic, as I call him, because he is a disaster, should go. Natasha says, hi, Eric. How are things? It's all spin. How are you? Chelsea got beat and City are winning. I'm good. I mean, I don't think it's all a spin. You know, there's some very credible stuff coming out by some very credible journalists, top tier journalists, and yeah, I think, you know, the plan doesn't sound too crazy that it sounds like you know, it's really out there or false. Is it going to go exactly the way it's being depicted right now? I think that's open for discussion. But we'll see. I did see that Chelsea got destroyed by Nottingham Forest as well, and I expect City to win. So Ugarte can sell teas at halftime or perhaps do some cleaning in the changing room. No. We need money for him. We're going to send him somewhere. Don't worry about it. We're going to send him to like Galatasaray, or we'll send him to some Serie A squad. So, but let me link the rest of this, okay? So the following update that goes into the update that we were just talking about to Ugarte, that goes into the midfield, is Manchester United specifically want a number 6 midfielder and a controlling midfielder in the mold of Menu, who signed a new 5-year contract last week. So we've gotten a little bit of more specification here. We are looking for specifically a number 6 midfielder. Controlling midfielder they're saying is Kobe Menu, who just signed a new contract, which makes sense because I think when you look at it, all right, we need a number 6. We need somebody to directly replace Casemiro. So one of the signings is a direct sort of replacement for Cas. We have Mano, and then another midfielder, and then the fourth midfielder when we sell Ugarte, the third new midfield signing, the fourth choice will be apparently a cheaper, possibly younger, sort of experimental signing. Not that young. I'm not talking about maybe like an 18 or 17-year-old, but just somebody maybe along the lines a little bit more like Sene Lemons, which is what I've been asking and saying for a while now. And I will link that as soon as I find the updates that we literally just got. Laurie Whitwell has been speaking as well, so we're gonna get to his updates as soon as possible. Let me just find the midfield updates. The midfield updates. Get rid of that, get rid of this. Where did it go? I had a list that it was broken down by budget. And I don't know where it went. But we need to find it. So we need to find that update. You had a tough day? Why? If Ugarte played yesterday, we would have lost? Probably. Maybe. Rax is here. Renosa says, you know what sucks, Eric? If they are spinning this whack football as Carrick isn't even playing how he wants, then we don't even know what we really need. Too many contradictions in the narrative. Well, I mean, I don't think it's truly Carrick's thing. Again, I do think it probably has elements of it, but I do think he's probably the plan that they've went forward with is they just looked at what they have, the squad, and they're playing to the strengths of what they have available going forward. If you're a manager, you're a coach, like Michael Carrick, for example. Obviously, when the summer window comes around, it's an opportunity to sort of transform the team. So, depending on what players you'll be able to get and new tools and new pieces, you could transform the team to play in sort of a bit of a different style going forward. So, I don't think that we're actually seeing 100% Carrick ball. I think there has to be elements in it, but I do think they've sort of made the plan. Basically like they walked in and they were like, all right, we analyzed the squad. What abilities do they have? What best fits the squad as a whole? And let's sort of roll with it. And, we'll go like that until, I'm given the permanent job, we have a transfer window, and then, we can get in some players, and based on whatever players we sort of adjust going forward, and, maybe we'll be able to play a little bit differently with some different options in there. Because I would assume, like, he would have an identity, he does have a plan, and it has been reported that Carrick has been involved in the discussions for, the planning for the transfer window. So, I think he would have a vision of, all right, I have this team playing this way at this moment. What's the next step? What do we need to get, sort of in the window in the summer? And also, it's also Jason Wilcox's job as well to know, because he's director of football. So, and I think actually he's director of football / technical director. So he's also supposed to know and have basically a vision of how the team should play and can play. And it is partly his responsibility as well to make sure that he identifies targets and signings so that we can play the way that they would like everybody to play, or whatever it may be. GHGGGGHHH says, Tuchemani for Champions League, Baleba for EPL, plus Ederson change for Bruno. Yeah, what do you mean? Edison is not going to be the replacement for Bruno, my friend. Edison is more of a central mid, center defensive mid. As I was just saying, you could take Edison and replace him with Ugarte. That's beautiful. I'll take that every day of the week. I don't really care who comes in and replaces Ugarte, pretty much, basically, out of all the people that's listed to us. I think they could give us way more. Edison is not in any way a change for Bruno. And Tuchemani, I mean, we got to see what happens, but we did get a Champions League boost, okay? And it even goes as far with Elliot Anderson. And it could massively help us. Like, again, like go back to last summer. And just think about it. Last summer, we were struggling to maybe get a couple players in. And a lot of it was basically like, you guys are not in Europe. And there are clubs that are in Champions League that are also offering us a deal. And we want to play Champions League football. Well, now we don't have that restriction anymore. So really, that's one negative thing taken out of the way, okay? So it's given us some type of a boost. Could be small, could be big, depending on the player. And Baleba is definitely on the table. But I think we'll only really go for Baleba if we fail to get Elliot Anderson, because Elliot Anderson still seems to be the top priority, for us at least. Doesn't mean we're in pole position to get him, but they do seem like they want to go to the very end. Even David Ornstein saying United have made Elliot Anderson their primary target for the next transfer window. They have the funds to get the deal done, but it will depend on aligning with Nottingham Forest evaluation. So, Renosa said, yeah, my meaning is that we are all speculating on who would be the best replacement for Cass when we don't even know if Casemiro would fit this Carrick ball that's on its way next season. Well, fair enough. I mean, yeah, like, you are right to a certain extent. And that's why, honestly, I don't get too fussed, Renosa. I don't get too fussed about it, because at the end of the day, they're the ones in charge. They're the ones that are supposed to have this plan and this vision and make it all work. It's totally out of my hands. And, I'm more so of like, get the targets, okay, that you have been that has been put out there. Get them. Get whoever it may be. But, I sort of just want to see it kind of be put together. And then I like to evaluate it from there, because, I mean, listen, there's been a few times, like, let's just put it this way. Who was I thinking about the other day? Like, remember last summer when the summers started off and everybody was like, we need to get Frimpong, okay? And Frimpong is a baller, and Frimpong would be, just amazing for us. And we obviously didn't get Frimpong, and he went to Liverpool. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was watching the match. Nobody talks about Frimpong. Frimpong has been shit, by the way, but nobody talks about Frimpong anymore. Everybody just sort of just was like, they buried that because everybody wanted Frimpong, and they were saying how good he was. And now that they've seen him at Liverpool, and they've seen how shit he is, or how shit he's been, everybody's just like, yeah, can we forget that I ever mentioned Frimpong? And this is sort of the thing. Like, I you know, what you're saying. You know, everybody could swear down up and left and right that it's got to be this player. That could be the wrong choice. Could be the wrong choice. X says it will take like 3 years to transform into a possession-based team, during which we will need to qualify for UCL consistently. Perhaps Carrick can manage this transition, but I doubt we, the fans, have the required patience for that to come to fruition. Well, I mean, I do agree that it will take about probably 3 years. Not only to transform the team into a possession-based team, but also to just build the team up to a point where we are a serious title contender and serious threat in, you know, all major competitions, where we're basically, you know, there's very little doubts left about us, about what we are, and, you know, what we're going to be doing. And, we do need to qualify for UCL consistently. And Carrick could maybe manage this transition. He's a bit, you know, he's unexperienced in that case. Okay, he hasn't really managed any high levels of transfer windows, and stuff like that. So it's a bit hard to say. But what I will say is, I think the fans mostly will give him as much time as any person possibly can, because he's a legend of the club. If it was anybody that wasn't associated with Manchester United, they wouldn't get as much time as him. But as I've said for every other manager before Michael Carrick, Carrick can help himself by getting points and results. And I think if Carrick is able to consistently get us finishing, you know, in the top four and staying in Champions League, I think the patience will stay. You know, some people will lose a bit of patience and push for more, but I don't think it'll be enough. And also, you know, that's where the hierarchy comes in. I mean, the fans can lose their shit. Fans lose their shit all the time. But, you know, sometimes you kind of got to ignore the noise. You know, listen, ultimately, a couple years ago, Arsenal fans were running around saying Arteta out. They're bored. Their executives ignored them, continued with Arteta. We're 6 years down the line. He hasn't won anything, but they did continue to improve after that point, and develop the team even stronger. So, you know, looking at the BBC football website, United could be after midfielder Danilo or Malin. All these players, it's like a Caravan belt. Well, listen, there's a lot of players, man. Is Ederson a change for Casemiro? I don't believe so. I can't find this update, but I'll paraphrase it because I kind of remember it off the top of my head. But I you know, I like to be as accurate as possible, but I don't know where it went. But basically, somebody gave us an update somewhere that United are going to look to sign 3 midfielders, and they gave sort of a breakdown in that the one midfielder that we will sign will be for around 80 million pounds. The second midfielder we would go and sign would be around somewhere for 40 million pounds. And the third midfielder that we go and sign would be for around 20 million pounds. Right here. This came from Chris Wheeler. And it says United's ideal funds allocation for the midfield: £80 million to replace Casemiro, £40 million to replace Manuel Ugarte, and £20 million for a squad player. Now, whether it actually goes like that or not, I think that that is still a decent way to break it up, okay? Because we've talked about how we do need 3 midfielders. We need to sell Ugarte. And then obviously many of you want a left back or a left winger or both, a right back and a striker and maybe a centre back, you know. And we talked about how that might be tight. You know, and it's not going out and breaking the bank necessarily, but listen, you're spending £80 million to replace Casemiro. I think, you know, that's probably the correct fee to replace somebody like Casemiro. Get £40 million to replace Manuel Ugarte. I think that's your Ederson, right? I mean, it's around there, kind of. I mean, he's going for 45 million euros. It translates into pounds a little bit differently, but it's around there. And £20 million for a squad player, that would be your fourth option, which I don't necessarily have a problem with either, because, again, that to me is could be a bit like Senny Lemons. You know, not super expensive, maybe sort of a bit of a lesser known guy, but somebody that we're not going to necessarily need on the forefront, but you are going to be sort of the backup option. And, you know, obviously room to grow and improve. And I think like that, you know, you're looking at about 160 million spend for the midfield. Getting in 3 players, removing 1 guy, having a midfield 4, and that sorts out the depth and everything, which would then leave us money to go and acquire a left back or a winger, maybe both, depending on how much we spend, but it would still leave a good amount. You know, if we spend 160 million in the midfield, we can definitely, and at the very least, go and spend 40 million, maybe plus, on either a left winger or a left back if we need to do so. And if we have more money, then obviously we can probably get 2 more players in 2 different positions, whether that be a left back and a left wing, or a left back and, you know, maybe some sort of a second striker, or a left wing and a second striker. So, I do think that is a way we could go about it. I wouldn't be too upset about it. I think, listen, there's a couple targets that you could get for around £80 million. That would be ideal replacements for Casemiro. There are a couple targets that have been listed with us that you can get them for around £40 million to replace Ugarte. We obviously have Kobe Mainoo, and he's already a starter right now, and we would obviously consider him to continue starting next season. So, you know, you're getting a new starter, number 6, next to Kobe Mainoo, who's going to be the new partner with Kobe. You're going to get a new guy, £40 million worth, that's going to replace Ugarte and be more versatile and be able to give us more on the pitch in both directions. And then you have £20 million on a squad player, who is sort of your a little bit of a developmental experiment, and he's the 4th option. So, you know, and he could come in when we got to rotate for maybe Carabao Cup or FA Cup or something like that. And then, you know, if there's any suspensions or injuries or stuff like that, he could step up to the opportunity to take it on. It's mission accomplished. For Anderson will go to City 100%. Listen, if he goes to City, he goes to City, but he's still our number 1 priority, and until he signs the deal to go to Manchester City, it's going to stay like that. And then maybe we'll move on after. So, to somebody else. Yes, time difference is 5 hours, yes. From where I am in the USA. If you go to California, it's more, where Reynoso is. Because they're, from where I am, he's 3 hours behind me. So they're even further behind over there. Fernandez from West Ham could also be a target. Can you see 2 Fernandezes on the pitch? Yeah, he is a target, and we did have an update about that as well. Sort of going into that. If I can find these things. There's been a lot of news, so it's a bit hard to sift through. I tried my best to get a couple things on the tabs, but I wasn't able to put it all together. So let me see if I find that real quick as well, because it was a further update, basically sounding out Mateus Fernandez, I think Alex Scott, and one or two other players. We do have an update on Sesko as well. I'll give you that. I'm gonna try and give you guys as much as I can. There's a lot today, which I kind of expected yesterday. I told you that at the end of the stream yesterday. I expected it to be a lot today. Cunha talking. I don't need Cunha. I need the midfield update. Where I see these things before I go live. Jay Burton, The Telegraph. Here it is. So, Manchester United are interested in Mateus Fernandez and have been closely monitoring him all season. There was one further than that. He also said United admire Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton, and although he is regarded as too similar to Maino, a move for him remains possible. And, that wasn't really the update that I wanted, though. There was an update. Okay, right here. This is from Rob Dorset Sky and Daniel H. Khan, who said Manchester United hold an interest in Frankfurt's Nathaniel Brown on, this is for the left back. Fuck. I don't know where it is. Also, how have you started the discussion about Carrick Ball? Is it official that they will transition into that or what? No. It can't be official because, what do you want them to do? Make an announcement about it? I have no clue. I'm sort of just guessing. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next season. We could play the same exact way. But I would kind of assume, based off of things that I would expect of a normal progression, he's come in, he's doing what he's doing because it was a short notice thing. The staff was put together on short notice. They didn't have a lot of time to, probably put together a proper plan. And also, I mean, one of the criticisms that Ruben Amorim got was that the players couldn't play his style, and so he should have changed the style. And I would say, well, maybe Carrick's come in and he's looked at the team and said, if I try to play this specific way, we'll fail because we can't, because they don't have the ability. So when you go into a transfer window and you ask for specific players, it could be because you want to make the team play in a better style. And you can only do that by acquiring new talent that actually can play the style that you would like to play, I would assume. So I heard they might go after Harry Kane. Well, that definitely is spin. And definitely nonsense, Natasha. I saw that story, but I could tell you right now, Harry Kane is literally... Well, number one, we're not buying Harry Kane. Number two, Harry Kane is literally not leaving Bayern Munich. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Baleba Maino, no experience for Champions League. Need Tushimeni, Ederson, Target, ergo Thiago, ergo Jesus, Nottingham, Jesus. Well, listen, I mean, you're all kind of right on that. They don't have any experience for Champions League. They're going to have to acquire experience for Champions League by playing in it. But we do have a bit of an issue. I mean, Mateus Cunha doesn't have experience for Champions League. Brian Mbeumo doesn't have experience for Champions League. Sesko does. Bruno Fernandes has a little bit of it. Delo has some of it. Delit has some of it. Does Lisandro have any? Lemons doesn't. Luke Shaw does. Casemiro does, but he's leaving us. So, we're going to have to figure it out as we go. What's this about Lewis Hall? Well, I will tell you in a little bit. Manager Carrick Pochettino. You want Pochettino? What are you? What are you, nuts? Why would you want Poch? Poch is washed, my brother. I'm okay with Carrick, but Poch? Hell no. Casemiro at Real play very in the Champions League. Casemiro should go to an American side. I think he is going to an American side. Ax, you're missing the point, bro. Every time I bring up Arteta, you want to argue with me about it. You're missing the point that I'm trying to make. I understand he's won nothing. I'm not saying let's not win anything. I'm talking about the progression of the team. The fact that you can't see that when he walked in, they were absolutely nothing. And over the course of, well, yes, 6 years, but really it took off after 3. After 3 years, okay, he got the team to be able to play a certain style. They were able to win a certain amount of games. They've been consistently in Champions League. They're consistently, I think, what? Now they're in the semifinals again with a chance to go to the finals. All right? I understand that he's a bottler in terms of that he can't seem to win the Premier League and Champions League. He still has an opportunity to do both this season. And I'm not saying to take 6 years, but I'm saying as you go in the project, they finished 8th twice. In the first 2 years, the third season, they took off. They never looked back after that. We need a replication of that to some level of an extent. Obviously, don't take 6 years to win things. Let's win it in the 3rd year or the 4th year. But yes, that's the point I'm trying to say. It's not going to be a quick transition. We would like a smooth transition. It's got to be decently quick, but it ain't going to be that quick. Temeskin says, yes, I like Ederson, Tonali, Xavi Simons, Gibbs, White, Rafael Leao, Ngoyo, Maxi, Araujo. The United is better for next season, please. INEOS, make plan. Let's hope if Carrick does get the job, we can turn Old Trafford back into a fortress again. In the olden days, United were the club that every defender dreads. Well, we're working on it. We do need that, though. That will be very important. But that comes with getting the results as well. You know what I mean? So, let's start small still. Did Cunha play Champions League at Red Bull? I don't know, to be quite honest. Was that where he was? I'm going to be quite honest with Cunha. I don't know where he was before Wolves. And I don't know what he was doing before Wolves. So, I don't know. I mean, he could have. Still 1-0 City. Axe. Stop trolling, bro. No, and nobody in this entire space said it's gonna take us 5 to 6 years to win something. Stop. You're either not listening, you're just making shit up in your head. I don't know what I don't know what your problem is. But just stop. It'll be Carrick until Christmas, then Southgate. Nah, Southgate's not coming. And I think Carrick will make it past Christmas. Red Bull around 2020. Don't know if they were in Champions League by then. I have no clue either. I mean, I could look it up later, but I have no clue about that, brother. But we do have some more stuff, okay? Where did that just go? Okay. So we did have a left back update as well, which is a bit new. And I don't know really how this is necessarily going to go, because I do think we have, you know, sort of targets. I just don't know if we're actually going to do it or not. I think, listen, the club, for competency, they should have this regardless if they're going to actually pull the trigger on it or not. I mean, they should have options. They should have like a list sounded out. They should sort of know what they want to go for, just so if the opportunity arises, they can actually go for it. So there is some sort of at least a bit of a skeleton of a plan. I just don't know if we're actually gonna do this, but we did get a couple updates surrounding the left back position. So one update coming from Graham Bailey: Manchester United stepping up their search for a new left back, with Adrian Truffert back on their radar, but a big money move for a Barcelona defender isn't off the table. Which I don't really know what that means. But apparently, you know, this guy's not the best source, so. But we did have this one, which is this came from United District, and then Robert Dorset. So it is about Lewis Hall, and Lewis Hall obviously has been mentioned before as a potential target for Manchester United, and we got fresh updates on this today. And Manchester United are interested in Lewis Hall, and Newcastle United are preparing, but Newcastle United are preparing a new contract to secure his future. But Jason Wilcox is a big admirer of Lewis Hall as a potential left-back option for Manchester United. Hall is high on United's shortlist, though no details on a possible deal have been revealed yet. And then Manchester United hold an interest in Frankfurt's Nathaniel Brown and are monitoring Newcastle United's Lewis Hall alongside Arsenal's Miles Lewis-Skelly, which obviously we know Lewis-Skelly was mentioned to us, you know, a month ago or whatever it was. So I don't know, I find it a bit interesting that we're getting sort of a mini list here made for the left back position. So maybe we actually do end up addressing this position going forward. I do feel like we have sort of a bunch of different options. I don't know if we'll get a left wing and a left back plus the midfielders. There's always a possibility we could do so, but without further clarification on, you know, how that actually goes about, because we saw Dorgu, he came back into the left wing position. We are still short there, technically, to a certain degree. So, I mean, if you get a left back, and you have Shaw on the new left back, does that mean Dorgu turns into a left winger? And if Dorgu turns into a left winger, does that mean that we're not signing a winger anymore? All the Brazilians do, Simon. Yeah, Cunha played in Champions League. All right. But that was kind of a bit ago, so, I mean, he's got a little bit of experience, I guess, but it has been a little bit, so. How much is Lewis Hall worth? Well, good question. Don't really know, but, we can kind of try and find out. I mean, listen, he's 21, he's young. You know, here on Transfer Market it says 35 million euros. I would assume Newcastle, 21-year-old, English, they're looking to maybe give him a new contract. His contract expires in 2029, so, you know, it's still 3 years away, which clearly means that they don't really want to sell him. I mean, if his base transfer market value is 35 million, Newcastle probably won't sell him for less than 50, 55, probably. Especially because, I mean, if we go to buy him, again, English to English club, Newcastle will view us as a club that they compete with for European spots and in the Premier League table as well, so they're going to tax us for that. So, I mean, if you go for Lewis Hall, it's not necessarily going to be cheap. You know, maybe there's some cheaper targets out there. Listening to me, eyes are shut. Let's compile a long list of players going out. Who is that dude? I don't know what you're asking about, bro. Lewis Hall, he's a left back that plays for Newcastle. He can also play left winger, which actually Lewis Hall basically fits the profile of what we're looking for. We're looking for a versatile player that can play left back and left wing. And if we need to use him at left back, we can. If we need to use him at left wing, we can. He can literally do both. He's done both. No. Everton has tied it. Ooh. You say Morgan Rogers. I don't think there's any possible way we get Morgan Rogers, but he's 21 years old. Again. I'm looking at his price on transfer market. It says 35 million euros, which is probably his base market value. And if you go to get him from Newcastle, it's probably going to cost you 50 million plus, at the very least. He's got about 3 years left on his current contract. Expires June 30th, 2029. So that's what we're looking at. Well, Lucky's mentioning Morgan Rogers because there was a story about Morgan Rogers. Again, you know, it's not the first time. But, you know, Morgan Rogers. Oh, this was what I was looking for before. Now I find it. So, Manchester United. Okay, because I was talking about the midfield before I moved on to the left back. But Manchester United are prepared to spend around £40 million on a new midfielder to replace Ugarte, but only if they can secure a reasonable fee for his departure. And then the Mail Sport reported that United are monitoring several midfield options with Mateus Fernandes and AFC Bournemouth duo Alex Scott and Tyler Adams emerging as targets. So, you know, I think Elliot Anderson, Baleba, and maybe like Tonali are looking like the three potential targets as a replacement for Casemiro. And then you get a £40 million signing, whether that be Mateus Fernandes, Alex Scott, Tyler Adams, Ederson from Atalanta. That will replace Ugarte. And then the third signing will be somebody that's cheap, 20, 25 million. Basically, could potentially be like a Sonny Lemons, a little bit lesser known squad player. Obviously, Lemons wasn't a squad player, but Everton have scored again. Well, that's the league. That's the league on. That is the league gone. Okay, now there's more things we need to tie into here. So, one of the other players that could be the 20 million, the 20 million pound signing. Here they're saying, scouts are monitoring Shea Charles of Southampton FC. So it is going to be a younger kid. Obviously lesser known. Not much hype around him. But yeah, I think that could work. If we actually go about it in that way and do it. I think that could work. Bro, Axe, I literally can't help you, bro. I can't help you. The fact that you don't know who Morgan Rogers is, bro, like I don't understand how you expect us to take you seriously at all. Like how do you have like zero knowledge of any types of people, but then you want to give me a transfer list about Lamine Yamal and shit? I don't understand how you don't know who Morgan Rogers is. Let me see if I find that story, by the way. Oh, I messed up. Morgan Rogers. Rogers. Where is that story? I know. Really? Yeah, this guy didn't bring it up for me. What account was it? Oh, right here. Okay, this came from Jay Burt. Telegraph. Manchester United are interested in Morgan Rogers, who has been earmarked as Bruno Fernandes' long-term successor as a number 10, but can also play on the left, where United are looking to strengthen. Now, I will say, in terms of personnel, okay, he is obviously, again, versatile. He can play the number 10, he can play on the wing, which does fit the bill. He's going to cost 100 million. We don't have 100 million to spend. We're spending at least 120 million. At least 120 million, somewhere thereabouts, on the central of midfield. There is no way we have another 100 million to spend on one guy. So I don't think there's any chance we get Morgan Rogers. He's a good player. I really like the guy. I would like to get him. I don't see how it happens. They could always surprise me and us, I guess, but I don't see how, realistically, how we could even possibly do such a thing. So, you know, I'm not really buying this Morgan Rogers link to Manchester United. I'm not. I think it's totally just completely unrealistic. There's just no way for it to happen. I don't see how we could possibly do such a deal. I don't see how we could possibly do it. But, listen, maybe if we sold Mason Mount, but I highly doubt we could even sell Mason Mount. I mean, but he would be an ideal candidate. I mean, one, he could be, like they're saying, long-term successor to Bruno Fernandes, and we could also use him on the wing. And he sort of, kills two positions with one stone, basically. So it would be, I think, if we were able to do it, it would be a very good move, because he's a guy that definitely can play number 10, and he's a guy that definitely can play winger. He's a very, very good player. Very, very good player with a lot of skill, and he's very young as well. A lot of potential, a lot of room left to grow. And that would almost be kind of perfect because we got Bruno, sort of coming to the end of his career in the next couple years or so. And, this kid is very young. So by the time, he comes in and he gets sort of adjusted to life at United, it'd be a couple seasons. And then when Bruno does actually go, we already have the next guy up, ready to go. Loads of talent. And moving. So you don't want Rodgers. You don't want Rodgers. Why? You don't like Rodgers? Let's not buy any more players from Chelsea, though. Surely we aren't that desperate. No, we're not. We're not buying players from Chelsea. We don't need to buy players from Chelsea anyway. So, we don't need to buy players from Chelsea anyway. But yeah, that was the little thing about Morgan Rodgers. Listen, City, they bottled the title. It's over for them. Even if they draw, it's over for them now. They bottled it. They bottled it. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. We did get some big updates from Laurie Whitwell, so let me get into these, okay? Because Laurie Whitwell is super, super credible, and he's coming out with just a bunch of stuff here. So I do want to get into that. We do also have a squad update, by the way, just so you guys are aware of this, and I'm not happy with this at all. And I don't know, this is coming from ESPN Brazil, so I mean, I don't think it's fake or fabricated or bullshit, but so the Brazilian national team and Manchester United have reached an agreement to rest Matheus Cunha for the final 3 Premier League matches. And Cunha has been dealing with adductor issues, but still played and scored in the recent win over Liverpool that secured Champions League qualification. With the season's main objective now achieved, the English club will preserve the player so he can fully recover and arrive at the World Cup in peak physical condition, which starts in just over a month. The reason why I have a problem with this is because yeah, okay, we secured Champions League football, but we still need, I believe, 3 points in the last 3 matches to secure 3rd place. And finishing 3rd gives us more money than finishing 4th. So I don't like the fact that we are going to be resting Cunha so that he's okay for Brazil when we still have to go and achieve something. I think this is bullshit. And I don't think we should be doing this. I don't like that. How about let's just secure everything that we need to secure, okay? We secured the main objective, but we still have a secondary objective, and that is to finish 3rd and get more money than if we finish 4th so that we can spend more money in the in the summer transfer window. And we're already short. So, I mean, rest him, manage his minutes, because if he's not going to play at all in the last 3 matches of the season, to me, is absurd. Is absolutely absurd. I saw this and I was just like, I wouldn't fucking agree to that. I would do what Sir Alex would do and tell them to pretty much go fuck themselves, and play my player until basically we don't need him, and we won't need him if we win the next match. But we are going to go play Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, and it's not going to be an easy game at all. And Sunderland are a good team, and they will be home. So, you know, we had 3-2 Everton. I see that now. But still, they still bottled it, though, because even if they tie this shit, okay? They'll be on 71 points. And then they need to make up a game. So if they win that one, they'll be on 74, and they'll be 2 points behind Arsenal. And then even if they somehow manage to tie it back up on points, the goal difference is now a +5. So the City have fucked it. English hype and too many overlapping characteristics with Cunha. I prefer a natural winger purchase. Oh, with Morgan Rogers. Maybe, but I think he's a bit different than Cunha. I think Cunha is a bit more like his body type is a little bit more, I wouldn't say stocky, but he's not as agile. I think Morgan Rogers is a bit more agile. He's got a bit more mobility to him. And you know, he might be English hyped, but you know, I've seen him play enough. I like the guy. I think he's really good. I think he's a really good talent, and so, you know. Oh my god, what's happened? I don't know why this isn't playing. I can't make it work. Doesn't work. Sunderland will be a banana skin. Should beat Forest, lose to Brighton. Well, I don't know why. Why do you feel like that? I think we're gonna win all three. I think we will win all three. Oh shoot, I can't watch that game tomorrow. It's the 87th minute of the match. '87 minute of the match. All right. We did get this update, a little bit of a look. All right, for Champions League next season. There is a possibility that United ends up in pot 2 or 3 during the UEFA Champions League draw. This guarantees Manchester United will have at least 2 games against the biggest non-English clubs such as Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid, Barca, and Inter. And you know what? Bring it on. This is what we signed up for. So, you know, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. All right. This is what we signed up for. So this is the reason why we want to be in the Champions League. So bring it on, whoever the fuck it is. Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid, I don't care. We need to go up against them. We need to play them. We need to test ourselves. We need to see what our level is against the highest quality there is out there in the world. And obviously we'll find out what it actually is when we get there. This summer, David Ornstein was giving us updates, and he said this summer is so important. United want to bolster in midfield as a priority with Elliot Anderson, their top target. Jadon Sancho is leaving. Højlund too. Maino is staying on a new contract. Michael Carrick is involved in this planning at the moment, and it looks like he's putting himself in the best possible place to get it full time. But Manchester United are not there just yet. So again, like, Carrick is part of the process for the planning of next season, even though he hasn't been officially given the full-time manager position. He is part of the process, and the club is moving forward, normal business, as if he is. So he is involved with the planning. And David Ornstein also said, it's the duty of Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and the Glazers, and the Glazers, to conduct a proper process for the best possible candidate. There are people who have won trophies, who have managed transfer windows, who have juggled European and domestic competition, which Michael Carrick hasn't done so far, and that's where the inexperience comes in. But he says, but many of them are not available, and that is probably the biggest, pin in the whole thing. I mean, they're definitely 110% are managers who have won trophies, who have managed transfer windows, big transfer windows at big clubs, who have juggled European and domestic competition and gone through those schedules and has, the experience about going through those competitions and handling a season like that. Michael Carrick doesn't have any of that as a manager. He doesn't have any of those as a manager. But the biggest thing is that basically all of those managers that do have those, they're not available. So, at the end of the day, we can only get what we can get. I mean, they can try if they want to make an offer for a manager that has all those things. But most likely, it'll probably get rejected anyway. They probably don't want to leave. It's probably pointless and useless to do such a thing. So, to seal third place, our last 3 games will feel like cup finals. I think we'll be all right. It won't do it. Laurie Whitwell gave us some updates as well. Okay, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, apparently, this come from Laurie Whitwell. Sir Jim Ratcliffe was a voice for United going for Benjamin Sesko last summer, a striker rather than a midfielder. At that moment, when they had a certain amount of money to spend, I think he clearly has an idea about how much he would like United to spend on certain areas. That still scares me. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that aspect. At all. 6 minutes out of the game. Now we did have a couple things about Michael Carrick as well, okay? Updates surrounding the job. Number one, I think they're going to give it to him anyway. And I think they were saying that it was pretty much all, but basically confirmed as of right now. And that there should be some movement on this coming very, very soon. Let me see what I can find here. So, Ben Jacobs did report that several senior players, including Bruno Fernandes, Mateusz Cunha, and Harry Maguire, want Carrick to stay. Carrick is part of recruitment meetings for next season. Manchester United had wanted to include Thomas Tuchel in their process prior to the England boss extending his contract. So there's that. And also, I do believe that, what else do we have? Laurie Whitwell on who is leading Manchester United's summer plans. Michael Carrick has been involved in meetings With his input taken into account, Jason Wilcox is a key figure as director of football, while Christopher Favell, who is the director of recruitment, also plays a major role. Omar Barada, the CEO, contributes to decisions alongside the club's scouts and data teams. Overseeing everything is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who has clear ideas on spending across positions. Matt Hargreaves handles negotiations, working directly with agents and other clubs. So the big update today is that it is basically essentially confirmed that Michael Carrick is partaking and being involved in meetings. So, I mean, you know, what you want to say about that? Is it standard procedure? Because, again, it's not like he's been told he's not getting the job. Maybe he knows he's getting the job already. You know, if you're truly undecided, would you include him anyway? Is it weird to include him if you don't think he's going to be the manager? You know, I think you could kind of look at it a little bit from two different ways. One, you could kind of say, well, if he's involved, he's getting the job. The other one is, well, they may have not actually given it to him yet, but I guess, you know, you would take his input. Why not? Although I do think it is a bit weird that you would plan with Carrick for next season and then turn around and basically give the job to somebody else who isn't Carrick, and is not going to be doing Carrick things that Carrick's been doing as the manager. So, Jamie Jackson did report this morning saying that United are expected to offer Michael Carrick the chance to continue as head coach. Sources with knowledge of the situation believe the role will be his to turn down. And also, Alex Crook reported that United are edging closer to appointing Michael Carrick as permanent manager. Formal discussions are expected to begin imminently, with sources close to Carrick anticipating talks very soon. They also said that Carrick is still waiting for formal talks with Manchester United over the permanent job and remains a strong contender for the role. However, United are expected to speak to multiple candidates as part of a full process, and Champions League qualification will not change that approach. Now, with that, though, I do agree. I do agree with that. They said that they were going to do a process. The process and the plan for that process should be followed through to the very end, no matter what has transpired and happened when they announced it. So Carrick has done an exceptional job since they basically said that they were going to do a full process of and give it this amount of time. He's probably done so good that nobody expected that he could do this good. Him doing this good should change absolutely nothing. You should follow out the entire process and then pick your best candidate. Whatever other people you were thinking about potentially giving the job to, they should come in, they should get interviews, they should be given the chance to present whatever it is that they need to present. You take everything and you make a decision. And that's it. It could, you know, at this point, maybe that whole thing is just a formality, but the proper thing to do is to see that through. That's the proper operating of a football club. You shouldn't just say, let's throw everything out and let's not follow anything through because Carrick's done so well, so we don't have to pay attention to any other options, you know? Because listen, somebody could come in and maybe impress in an interview or whatever. Maybe somebody that we think isn't necessarily available becomes available once the season's actually over, and maybe their qualifications are way high, you know? So you shouldn't just cut the process short now and just give it to Carrick now when you said you were going to do this whole plan. So they should follow through with the plan. Chelsea are 10th. Everton could pip them to the post for European football. 3-3. It's 3-3 full time. They still bottled it. No end product scored in the 97th minute. They still bottled it. It's still over. It's still over. They got 71 points, and they have a game. They got an extra game they got to make up. If they win that, they'll be on 74. So, I mean, unless Arsenal decide they want to lose a game in the remaining matches and Manchester City win, you know, it is what it is. Neutrally, I look forward to seeing Turkey these next seasons, but I'm glad he didn't come in, got smacked by us at Old Trafford, and didn't win the league his first season, I hope. Well, listen, we had every opportunity to go get him as well. You know, he was there for the taking. We talked about him. And we had every opportunity to go get him. And we didn't get him, and I would have taken him because of the amount of money that he costed and the talent. But, you know, he's a good player. He's a dickhead, but he's a good player. Why took 1 point, still have one available? Because I don't think that they'll necessarily lose. I think that the way that City was going to win the league was that they were going to steal it from them, tied on points, with a better goal difference. Well, I think that's how City was going to win the league. But now I don't think that they dropped 2 points, and I don't think they, for them to win, they had to stay on level points with Arsenal. I mean, technically, can they still do it? Sure, but I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think that's it. I think now they've fucked it up. So listen, Arsenal have to go play the second leg tomorrow versus Atletico Madrid, and then they got to play West Ham. They got to play Burnley, and they got to play Palace. And Man City, I know that they have to go play. Shit. They need to still play. They got to play Brentford. They got to play Palace. They got to play Chelsea in the FA Cup. They got to play Bournemouth, and they got to play Aston Villa. So they have the tougher schedule. All right, Ax, we'll see you later, bro. Good night. All right, Simon, we'll see you later as well, bro. Be good. No stream tomorrow, and no stream Wednesday as well. So if you're around Thursday, we'll be back on Thursday. For the time being. Actually, I don't know if I'll be able to do it Thursday, but if I can, I will do it Thursday. I might not be available Thursday, so I'll try and let you guys know. But definitely nothing tomorrow. 100% nothing tomorrow. And definitely nothing on Thursday. I mean on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I gotta find out what my schedule actually is. But if I'm around, we'll do it Thursday. But yeah. Yeah. Arsenal just need win, draw, win, Burnley play, nothing. But West Ham have to win to stay up. We'll see. Good night, Natasha. All right, let's finish this. Okay, let's finish this. Let's finish these updates. Where are we, bro? Okay, speed run. Speed run. Laurie Whitwell, okay, give us a bunch of updates, all right? These are big, these are important. So, Laurie Whitwell on Elliot Anderson's price tag. He said they, Nottingham Forest, have set the price very high. I'm talking over 100 million pounds. I have heard a figure of around 125 million. That's too much for United's blood. Man City feels like the direction of travel. Rodri signing a new deal at City could have an impact on that. Interesting. That definitely is too high for us. Okay. 125 million is way too high. And it won't happen. But we are going to stay in it until it's sorted one way or another. And I guess we're going to try our best to try and put in an offer that could potentially get accepted at a lower fee. So, we do know that the owner Nottingham Forest is a bit of a hard ass. So, I mean, he could make this extremely difficult, pain in the ass to deal with. But Lord will also give us an update on Carlos Baleba, saying United are looking to build a midfield that complements Kobe Mainoo, which is why Baleba remains a possible option despite a dip in form. The club are still monitoring him and believe his skill set could fit well, making him a genuine possibility. Whether they follow through with the move, however, remains to be seen. I will add on to that, and I will say that Baleba remains a possible option. I think the biggest point to that is not because they necessarily believe it, but, you know, it's not really because they believe in his skill set and, you know, to complement Kobe Mainoo. I'm sure those things are factors, but clearly Elliot Anderson's the number one priority. So they're not going to go and make a move for Baleba until Elliot Anderson is dealt with one way or another. Either he signs with City or somehow we end up getting him. But one way or another, until Elliot Anderson is off the table, Carlos Baleba is not. We're not going to move for Carlos Baleba because Carlos Baleba is either the second or third choice option. So that's what Baleba is. They've made that quite clear by now. They've made it quite clear by now that, you know, because listen, if they really wanted Carlos Baleba, all right, there would be no reason to be looking at Elliot Anderson, and they would just go and do the Carlos Baleba deal. But they've quite clearly put Baleba in like second or third place because they want Elliot Anderson, and they're not going to pivot to anybody else until Elliot Anderson is off the table. So as long as he hasn't signed a deal with anybody and he's available, we look like we're going to be stuck in that deal until it's dealt with. And then once it's dealt with, then it is what it is. Again, if he goes to City, we'll move right along to the next target. If we get him, I actually don't expect Baleba to come. So my bro Alex Scott. Oh, I like Alex Scott. I think he's good. We could get him. Possibility. Laurie Whitwell also has told us, or was speaking about the ownership structure at Manchester United, and he said the agreement between Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers reportedly includes a clause that changes in February 2027. I didn't know. At that point, the Glazers would be able to sell their shares along with Ratcliffe's stake at a price they deem fair. This could potentially speed up Ratcliffe's sporting ambitions, as success on the pitch may become more important to secure control and avoid any shift in ownership direction. I thought that already expired, but that is quite interesting. So I could have swore that expired already. Or that already changed, but that is quite interesting. And that is sort of, I mean, it's not like the worst deal because Jim will get he'll end up making money on it. But I mean, if your ambition is to, if you want to stay as an owner, I mean, it's kind of a bit of a shitty deal because the Glazers can sell their shares and your shares at any given time that they want, and then you are no longer, you are no longer an owner of Manchester United. So you will get paid for it. He'll get paid for it. He'll make profit off of it. But yeah. And Manchester United are hoping to raise significant funds this summer through potential sales of several players: Rashford, Højlund, Onana, Ugarte, and Xerxes. Well, Højlund is definitely going. Onana needs to definitely go. Ugarte has to go. Xerxes should go. And Marcus Rashford needs to be permanently sold as well. We also have a possibility of getting 50% from Mason Greenwood sale. So we could factor that in there. And then I have somewhere, which I don't know where it went, but I have it somewhere. That's not what I need. So Manchester United's expected financial boost for the 2026 summer transfer window, per the Fabrizio Romano report, breaks down roughly 150 million to 220 million pounds plus in total effective spending power. This combines direct cash flows, which is player sales plus sell-ons plus Champions League revenue, with major wage bill relief, which frees up PSR and FFP for new signing. These are estimates based on the latest reports, contract details, and typical Champions League distributions. No single official total exists, as some elements, example, Greenwood proceeds or Champions League performance bonuses, depend on outcomes. That is true. So Rasmus Højlund, permanent deal, 44 million euros. This is income from selling him, which he's on an obligation to buy from his loan. Napoli pays 38 million pounds base, plus 5 to 6 million in prior loan fees / arraignments already received or due, which equals 43 to 44 million pounds in cash flow. And United originally signed him for 64 to 72 million, so it's a loss on the fee, but pure profit for the budget now. Sancho and Casemiro's wages off the books, because we forget about Casemiro. I mean, we forget about Sancho, but his wages were still on our books. Casemiro on £350,000 a week. Contract ends this summer. We're saving 18 million pounds annually. From that, Sancho's contract expires. No renewal. We're saving 10 million pounds. So that's a combined 28 million a year, which is a direct boost for PSR for signings. Rashford, if we get him a permanent exit, Barcelona loan option is 26 million pounds. If we could get somewhere around 26 million for him, okay, he's also getting 10 to 12 million pounds a year from wages. So, you get a fee for him, plus you get the wages off. That's about another 36 to 40 million pounds. All right, and then we have the sell-on clause for Mason Greenwood that I mentioned. It's between 40 to 50%. I believe it's 50%. He's valued 60 to 90 million pounds. So we could get anywhere from about 20 to 40 million pounds. And he was in the academy. Well, we already got the money from the academy player because we sold him to Marseille for 26 to 27 million. So we already got that part. And then we're going to get extra revenue from the Champions League. So on the low side, we could have about 182 million pound boost. On the high side, we could have about up to 232 million pounds for next summer. So, we are looking at sort of a significant improvement for the transfer budget. And that's not even including, in that right there, that's not even including, if you sell Ugarte, if you sell Xerxes, sell Onana, I would sell Binder as well. Include them in there. We'll get a little bit more money in there. So we should be able to spend maybe close to 250 million, maybe a little bit less. If we do exactly what we need to do going forward. So yeah, it's shaping up to be it's going to be a massive summer. It's going to be crazy, absolutely crazy. So it's going to be hectic. With all the links we're getting so far with the World Cup being involved in the middle of the transfer window as well, like it's just going to be one of these summers where it's just going to be like absolute madness all over the place. What else do we have here? Laurie Whitwell on links with Mickey Van de Ven. United are looking at the centre-back market just because of De Ligt's injury going on way longer than they'd thought, and Lisandro Martinez's injuries. So can they rely on them? That's the question I've been posing. Euro in heaven, they have high hopes for, and Maguire has extended his contract. Liverpool, I've been told, are also looking at that. So interesting. I think one of the massive things that's going to make a difference is if Spurs actually stays up or not. I think if Spurs stays up, I think maybe Van de Ven, it's a bit harder to get him out, or it's going to cost more money. If they go down, I think he'll definitely be out of there. Where he'll go, I don't know. I do find it a bit interesting. I've been saying that, we do have to at least give, one eye to the center-back situation. It is a bit of a concern. It was something that I don't think we were really looking at all, but the fact of how, De Ligt's injury is gone, and there's still a bit of a question mark over Martinez. Like, we want to keep Martinez. We would like to give Martinez a new contract, but it still hasn't been fully answered if he is going to be able to be, basically injury-free for a large part of the season. So, because if he keeps getting sort of not the same reoccurring injuries, but if he keeps getting injured on a decently consistent basis, then it's become a bigger issue than when it once was. So, we do have to give some thought about it in the back there. And, maybe if something sort of presents itself, maybe we have to sort of go after it. Speaking about injuries as well, we do have this update about Benjamin Sesko. And I figured as much when the change was made. I figured something wasn't right. It had to be sort of fitness-wise. I didn't believe at the time it had anything to do with tactical or anything like that. But we did get this update saying that Benjamin Sesko suffered a knock to an existing injury after being shoved off the pitch by Ibrahim Konate yesterday. Well-placed sources say the injury is quite painful and he will be monitored over the coming days. So, we will probably won't. I don't know. They said it's quite painful. I don't know to the degree of, the severity of the injury. It could be painful, but, what does that mean? Is he going to be dealing with it for over a week? I based off of that, I kind of just feel like I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he makes the bench, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not starting when we go to play Sunderland. If he already had an existing injury and he suffered a knock to the existing injury, and he's in quite some pain. I just don't see how there's any point in risking him in the next match. The only thing is that this is the issue that I have. We apparently made the agreement with Brazil Federation that we will rest Cunha for the remaining 3 matches. But how can we rest Cunha if Sesko can't play and Sesko needs to be rested because Sesko has picked up an injury? And we don't have players. I mean, maybe we're going to play Xerxes because really that's all we got left. But, listen, if Sesko's not going to partake and Mateus Cunha is being rested because we made this weird deal with the Brazil Federation that he doesn't partake in our last 3 games, when we still have to fight for a position in the league table, which has a factor of money into it and pride. So what are we looking at? A starting 3 of, we're going to have Mbeumo Diallo and Joshua Xerxes. And then, basically all we got is Patrick Dorgu as a substitute, as a winger for maybe about 20-something minutes, because he probably can't do any more than that, just coming back from injury. And then that's about it. And maybe Shea Lacey if he actually uses him, but he hasn't. So, and like I was just talking about the finances, okay? This was an update about Rob Dorsett from Sky about the finances, saying United are likely to make around £200 million next season, half in the upcoming transfer window, with Champions League qualification bringing up to £100 million extra revenue. This makes it more likely Michael Carrick will get the head coach job longer term and allows United to expand transfer plans this summer. However, nothing is guaranteed as decisions must fit the sustainability project for repeatable success. The money arrives in installments, so United cannot blow it before August. Even losing every Champions League match brings up to £70 million extra, plus £10 million from Adidas. Priorities are 2 elite central midfielders and trimming the squad by jettisoning. I don't know what that word is. Big earners. Jettisoning. Carrick is the strong favorite, but qualification does not guarantee his role, with other candidates to be interviewed. So, I think we've covered all the updates that we could basically cover for today. I mean, it was quite a lot, a little bit all over the place. Crazy game. I missed the game. I'll watch the highlights. Had to be done. Can't do a show tomorrow. Can't do a show Wednesday. Might not be able to do a show Thursday. Had to do the show today. So, all right. Listen, we're getting out of here. All right. Thank you to everybody for all the support. Shout out to all the viewers. Thank you to all the chatters. Shout out to the members as well. Top fans for today's show: Renoso number 1, Simon number 2, Natasha number 3. That's our top 3 for today. Please make sure you're smashing the like button. If you didn't hit it, please make sure you hit it on the way out. If you did hit it, thank you very much. If you're new and you subscribed, thank you. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the community. Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody enjoy the rest of your Mondays. Okay? Everybody have a good Tuesday. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to catch the match tomorrow. I actually probably I won't be able to. So I'm going to, unfortunately, basically, I won't be able to watch it. So, But everybody enjoy the Tuesday and Wednesday. Enjoy the Champions Leagues matches. I'll be in the Discord at some time, popping in with the rest of the lads that are in there, chatting it up as they always are. They've been real active in there. So, you know, it'd be good. And then we'll see when we can return. We'll see when we can return back to the show. I'm thinking maybe we could do it Thursday, but I got a call before, so I might not be around Thursday. So I'm thinking Thursday or Friday. If we can, we'll do both. Obviously, if we're gonna do a stream Thursday or Friday, it's gonna be at 8:15 p.m. UK, like it always is. And then we go from there. And then obviously, later on down that week, then it's close to being match time again for us. And when do we actually play that match? 5/9. So in 5 days, that would be, is it a Saturday or a Sunday? It's a Saturday. So, so hopefully we could get like one more stream at least, Thursday or Friday. And then we got the match on Saturday. And then obviously we'll be doing the Red Devil recap after the match is over. And then we go from there. And we keep it moving. So everybody be good. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you. Love you all. And stay safe. All right. And we'll chat with each other.